I'm so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope that you enjoy the broadcast. I hope you'll laugh. I hope you'll cry. But I hope that you'll be moved by what you hear. Well, my guests are very special to me, and so are you. So I want you to sit back, enjoy the show. What you can become depends on what you can overcome. Yes, I'm so excited about my children's book that's coming out, and I'm looking for some mahogany kids. I'll tell you about that later. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, look who is joining me tonight as my co-host. It's Jean Mason. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you for having me, the beautiful Ella.
Are we excited tonight?
I am always excited.
I know. You must be excited wearing that Oklahoma hat. Guys, I told you, why not at least an Alabama hat? You come over here with an Oklahoma hat. But listen, guys, welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. We are so excited that you have decided to join us again. If you're watching from Facebook, that's awesome. Thank you. But share the broadcast. Just go and hit the share button. We want as many people on board tonight because we want you guys to get involved and ask questions and offer your support to our guests. But if you're watching from YouTube, thank you. And while you're there, please just go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate that as well. But we want you guys to get involved, right, Jean?
Right.
But we're going to talk to you guys before you meet our guest tonight. So, Jean, I want you to tell everybody about who you are. Who is my awesome... You were on here last night with your wife, who you have 12 children with. But tell everybody about Jean.
Jean Mason is a father, a son, a husband, a friend, a mentor. And most importantly, he is a young man, and I specify that word young, who is turning 55 this month.
All right.
And, yeah. So he's totally excited. He's also a self-proclaimed a smooth jazz artist. So I'm glad to be here on the Ella Johnson Show to talk about our experiences and to help people and to reach out to people and to connect with people regarding these horrible issues and allow them to know that, hey, you are not alone. You are not the only one. There is help. And not only is there help, but there is hope.
Amen.
There is hope.
Amen. Jean is a domestic violence survivor as well. And I know many of you are like, really? He's a man. Yes, men are abused as well. And if you didn't watch the broadcast last night, then you just need to go back and check it out. And you'll hear his story. But tonight, we're bringing on some incredible women, Jean. Crystal Young and Tina Lewis. Listen, guys, you don't want to miss these stories. If you are a domestic violence survivor, or if you are in a situation that you know you need to get out of, you need to watch this broadcast tonight. Because if you see scrolling across the screen there, we have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So there is help out there for you. And you just call that number 1-800-799-SAFE. But Gene, let's talk a little bit about COVID, right? COVID is I'm still recovering from COVID, right? The last time I was on here, I couldn't breathe and I was coughing throughout the entire broadcast. But I wanted to share my story, how I got COVID and what it really does so that people will be encouraged, you know? But the kids are going back to school. What do you think about that?
Uh, um, I think I'll let you give your opinion.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm a little nervous about the kids going back to school. Based on what I'm hearing, I just wish that, I mean, because in Florida, we have that governor here, Governor DeSantis, which we call him Death Santis here, and he has made it where he put an executive order in place so that our children, the parents can make the decision that if a school tries to mandate mask, he's going to fine them and then not give them any funding, right? So the schools have their hands tied because if they see a need to mandate mask, they can't because he's put that order in place. But don't worry, DeSantis, Death Santis, because people are suing him. You know, they're like, listen, that's ridiculous. Yeah, if I want my child, but I mean, you can still tell your child to wear a mask. They're just saying that they're not going to make them. They have a
They're not going to
choice.
mandate
Yeah,
it. Well,
yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I like that. I like that the children have an option. My thing is, and it's just my own personal thought, um, every man needs to do what they need to do to take care of themselves.
right, right.
And if that
I
means
agree.
wearing a mask for you, it works, then wear a mask. If that means vaccinating, then do what you need to do. But when we start forcing and making and mandating, now we're taking away what we've worked so hard for these past 400 years, and that is American rights.
Yeah, but this is the thing too. Kids can't get the vaccine. The ones under 12. That's where my issue lie is because they can't get the vaccine. So they're dependent on the adults around them to be vaccinated. And if they have a choice and don't like the mask, 9 times out of 10, they don't like the vaccine either. So that's the only thing I have with that. Yeah.
And rightfully so. And
Yeah.
rightfully so.
So, let's talk a little bit about what you got going on. I know that coming up next month, I want you to tell everybody about this event, Prison Break Conference, October 8th to the 10th. You have that
Yes,
coming up next month.
yes, yes. I am
No, I mean 2 months.
very excited about that. That's going to be in Houston, Texas. My wife and I will be headed down that way. This is like our fourth year involved in something in Houston, Texas, and
Nice.
we are so excited. We normally do things with Val, which is also a domestic violence organization, and we love them, and we are become a great family with them, and we enjoy not only their information but their outlet, their outstreams, their group of comrades that help and educate and safe housing and just the whole 9 yards. And
Oh, wow. I love
we
it.
just
That's awesome.
enjoy working with them all together. So it's been a pleasure and a blessing.
Well, I don't know if you guys have been following me on Facebook, but this is what I have going on. Under the influence, the things we do for love.
Oh, under the
Yes.
influence of chocolate, are we?
You are funny. But the book is being written. I haven't written it yet, but I am writing it. I just want to do my cover first. But it stems off of my series, the Torn series. Okay. And I'm gonna talk about the real part of the relationships in that book, in that series. I mean, because over 4 books, you can just imagine there were quite a few relationships in there.
Oh, we got
So I'm gonna talk real about it because in the book, you kind of dance around it, you add stuff, take away stuff. But I think that we all have to be accountable in relationships. In this book, nobody gets off the hook. So I'm excited about this one.
so you writing a movie then, huh?
Well, yes, yes, that's what I call my stuff because they're going to be. Because listen, you remember how I was talking before the break and I said, I like to learn how to do everything myself? Then that's something else I want to do. I want to go to film school also so that I can learn how to direct and create a film so that I can start putting some of these ideas in the movie screen. I want to do that. That's where I ultimately want to be. That's where the books, but I want to get familiar with all of it. You know what I'm saying, Gene? So that I'm not
Well,
just stuck in a box.
well, let me put mine in now. Look here, when you need music, you give me a call, okay? Allow
Well,
me
you
to.
know what? You know what? I do need a jingle for my show. How about you? Because I love jazz, but I would love for you to put some kind of jingle together for the Ella Johnson show. How about that?
Girl,
Can you do that for me?
it's already done.
It's already done.
It's
Listen,
already.
guys. Well, I know you guys want to meet our guests. They are itching right there in the studio, ready to come on here and share their story with you. Listen, we're going to take a break real quick, just for a little minute video here. And I want you guys to watch the video, but I want you to continue sharing and just tag people that you know would be interested in this type of show. Okay. So go ahead, do that. And after the video, we'll be right back.
Please tune in to hear our stories and my story and my journey of the pain, the passion, and now the purpose.
Our story of triumph. You may cry, you may be inspired, but we do hope that you leave empowered. Join us.
Wait to share on Ella's platform to tell my story. So get ready to be empowered.
Tune in to hear my story and how that pain is now my purpose. I'll see you there.
Prepare your hearts to hear some true stories, amazing stories that will inspire you, and some that will bring you to tears.
And we're back. We're back. Awesome. So, as you can tell, we have our guest with us tonight. I am so excited. Listen, the reason these domestic violence shows are so very important to me, Miss Crystal here said, Ella, you need to do a month. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe next time we'll do a month and have everybody on one day. But the reason I do these broadcasts, my cousin back in December 2020 was killed by an ex-boyfriend, not even a current boyfriend. She was befriending him, she was nice to him, and one day he came and just lost his mind and decided he wanted to kill her. He took a belt, and put it around her neck and held her off of the floor for a few seconds or whatever. And then they rushed her to the hospital. I had just seen her for Thanksgiving. By that next Monday, she was in the hospital with a brain bleed, and she passed. So the family wishes for everyone to not have to ever go through that. Get out before it's too late. She was just being nice to him. He wasn't even living with her, but she was just being kind to him. And we do these shows as awareness to people of what's really going on in the world with other people. But we want to show you the ones that get out. Some people don't get out, and that's why we do these shows, so that you can make a decision and make a plan to get out. So that's why we do these domestic violence shows. But hello, lovely ladies. Thank you so much
Hi. Hello.
for being
Hello.
guests with
Hi.
me tonight. Yes. Well, I want everybody to meet you, wonderful women, because you guys have been through stuff, but you are both doing wonderful things. They're both doing wonderful things right now. Crystal is out of Indiana. She's an author of Poems from the Heart of a Christian Woman. She's a domestic violence survivor. She is thriving. She's doing wonderful things. And let me tell you, I'm going to go ahead and say this. You're not going to believe what happened to her on her wedding night. But we're going to get into all of that and her story. Welcome to the broadcast, Crystal.
Hello.
And she's just so shy, isn't she? But she's not going to be shy by the time she gets off this broadcast. That's for sure. Awesome, awesome. And well, welcome, Crystal. Thank you so much for coming on here to tell your story. All right. Then we have Miss Tina J. That just has a nice ring to it, right, Jean?
Yes, I
Tina
like.
J. Like you can't just say Tina. You just don't look like a Tina. You look like a Tina J. It just
Thank you.
brings more depth to it, right?
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
Miss Tina
Absolutely.
is out of Texas. She's an author of the book Total Deliverance, a survivor's story on Amazon. I'm reading your book, by the way, Tina. It's very, very good. It's
Thank
very
you.
good. I mean, it's a very good read, guys. So go out there and get it. And Crystal's book is also on Amazon. So I want you guys to support these ladies. By the end of the week, we're going to bring all of you guys so you can give your handles so that everybody will know how to find you and how to find your product. All right?
Okay.
Because that's what we want to do for this. And this is how you support this movement, is by supporting what they're doing and getting the word out, right? And she's in the book. I gotta say this, Tina. There are two parts in your book that I want everybody to just pay attention to when that I read in there. You said you thought that you had met the man sent from God. How many
Yeah.
times have I not done one of these broadcasts and everybody says that? You're probably gonna say the same thing too, Crystal. Met a man and he was just all that. Fine, got it going on. Listen, I've been there. So, but you said that you addressed that in your book, and another part in your book that I thought, when you were standing at the altar, she was standing at the
Yeah.
altar and she heard a voice that said, "Don't do it.
Boom,
Just say no."
boom.
I know.
And she brought, when
Yeah.
I saw that, I said, I got to jot that down. That is, that was powerful to me, because we know that was God's voice. Based
Yeah.
on your
Wow,
story now, we know that was God's voice.
Yes.
See, God
wow.
always gives us a way out, doesn't he?
He does.
I'm one of those kind of people, Tina. If I know I'm not supposed to get somewhere and my car breaks down, oh no, 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 that's not enough message for me. I'm
I
gonna catch a
know.
bus if I have to. I have to get,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
Uh,
God has to send me a text. I'm one of those people from Missouri, show me state. But anyway, guys, welcome to the broadcast, Tina. Thank you so much. And
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tina also does these live Saturday shows where she talks about soul ties. She does live shows. So
Yes.
welcome again.
Thank you again
I'm
for having
excited.
me.
Jean, are
Yeah,
you
me
excited? Are
too.
we ready to dig into these stories so
Oh,
everybody can get to know?
I'm already there. I got questions
I know
already.
you went there before I hit the live button. I already know that.
Go
Well, we're
ahead.
gonna start with Crystal because I really want you guys to, and I'm going to tell my viewers too, I really want you guys to support these women as they tell their stories and just kind of give them encouraging words. I'm going to bring up some of your posts. You guys are bringing in the comments so fast, but I'm going to bring up some of your comments. So you guys make sure you do a spell check because your post just might show up. So I don't want you to be all in, like, look at Ella put my post in there and she know I didn't spell it right. I won't do that to you if I see that. But anyway, guys, yeah, please encourage them. But Crystal, we want to start with you and we want you to tell us a little bit about last night how I had the guests do is I wanted them to start from their childhood. I want to know a little bit about, where you're from and how your childhood was, and share with us some of the good and bad times that you experienced.
Well, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I am actually the youngest of 7 kids. When my parents met, my dad already had 4 kids from a previous marriage, and my mom had 1, and then they had 2 together. But just 3 of us grew up in the house. It was quiet for the most part. Being the youngest, not really being able to talk. The brothers did everything, parents did everything. Grew up a lot with my godmother. Spent a lot of time with her. So got a very old wise soul at a young age. And grew up in church.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what your childhood was like. So what sticks out for you that was a moment that you just like, because you know how we go through things as kids, that it sticks with you and stays with you even as an adult. What was that for you?
My parents divorced.
Oh.
That stuck out a lot.
Why? Why did that stick out a lot for you?
I was 10. And they had one of my older brothers did a paper route, and he won us a trip to Walt Disney World. So we went and did that, and then came back home and found out the parents were divorcing.
Wow. How did you cope? Yeah. How did you start acting out? Because a lot of times kids start acting out. Did you act out in school and become rebellious?
I dug a lot into reading and writing.
Ah.
Yeah. So
that's a good thing to dig into. That's a good thing to dig into, right? Right.
Yeah, that's how I express myself through my writing.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to get your poems.
It was because my mom remarried kind of quick.
Oh.
And to a white man at that. So that was.
She said to a white man at that. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, it was one of those. I'm gonna say we weren't really living in the hood, but we had to go from our side of town all the way far out. They like to do flea markets and things like that. So we're in like 3 different vehicles, and we're further out where there's not a lot of Black people, and we're going to flea markets and out to eat and things. It was very, very awkward.
Wow. Okay. Well, did you get along with him at least?
No.
Oh, you didn't get along
Not
with
at
him?
all. No.
Was he mean to your mother, or was he nice to her?
No, he wasn't mean to her. He was kind of mean to us, but it was like me and my brother, we always wanted to stay elsewhere. So we spent a lot of time with our dad and on the weekends, and they had to come back home, and stepdad was kind of work, but he kind of didn't. So then it's like he's home all the time. Can't do what we want to do.
Sounds to me, Jean, like they were just they wanted dad back, right?
Yeah.
Did you see domestic violence?
No, I didn't see domestic violence at all. None.
Wow. Because a lot of times, Jean, people who see it usually relive it, but you guys, you didn't see it at all. So that's interesting.
No, we never seen.
Let's take it a little further. When did you start dating?
Oh, 16.
16. Okay. Was he your first love, or it was just a little, okay? Was it a hit it and quit it?
It was supposed to be, but ended up getting pregnant sometime later. So it didn't.
Girl, listen, I've had a couple of hit it and quit it experiences myself. You know?
Yeah, it was supposed to have been that, but kind of stuck around. Really didn't want him, but enjoyed the company, kind of thing.
Okay.
Because he had his own place. It was nice. My mom worked nights, so she walk out the front door. I walk out the back door and go to his house. And when she's coming in for work, I'm in the garage pretending to get my clothes ready for school.
What? Girl, that's what I'm talking about. You know what? There's no judgment here. I think everyone has had those kinds of experiences. I know I have. Yeah. You guys just better be glad I'm not on the other side of this microphone and you guys are interviewing me.
But you will be one day soon.
I will be one day. I will be. Absolutely. Okay. So now you're dating and you get pregnant by this first guy that you're with. So talk to me about when did the one who actually become your abuser, when did he come in the scene?
About 2 years later or so.
2 years later? Tell me how you guys met.
We met at the corner store, of all things.
And did he have a car? Did he have a car?
No, he was riding on a bike.
Wait a minute now, Jean. Last night, Shalanda's man was on the bus Now she met one on a bike. I'm just saying.
Hey, say it, girl, say it.
Okay, so he was on a bike, and what did he? How did he mac you out on a bike? Were you walking? Were you driving?
I got dropped off at the store. He followed me around the store trying to talk to me, and then he followed me home because we live down the street from each other.
Stalker.
Yeah, something like that.
That's not sexy to me. That's kind of scary. He stalked you? I don't know if I can be turned on by that. I'm just saying.
His grandmother lived a block from me.
Right.
And so he dropped off. Well, I didn't know that was his grandmother's house, so he dropped his bike off over there and followed me home.
Okay.
And we walked home, talked. Really didn't want to talk to him, but good conversation. Invited him in. He met my brother was home with my daughter and my friend's son. So I used to watch them. So they were over.
Okay.
And so we went on into the room and had a good conversation. And that was supposed to have been a hit it and quit it. It didn't work that way.
Wait a minute. So you took him into the bedroom? How old are you at this point?
19.
19. So you guys went into the bedroom to talk.
To talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
To talk.
Yeah, I hear you. And did you talk? Did you talk?
Yeah, we talked for about 20 minutes, if that.
Yeah, definitely talk.
Yeah.
So what happened next? How did it go further? Where did you go from there with him?
He came around a lot. It seemed like just about every day, spend time with me and my daughter. I would see him when I would go to get on the bus to go to school. I was starting college, so I would see him. He walked me down to the bus stop and be sitting on his grandma's porch. Yes, when I come back home, walk me back home.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So you're impressed with him?
Yes.
Okay. Were you guys like sexually active at this point?
Yes. From day one.
Gene, I think sex clouds our judgment. I know it does for me.
They was sexually active the first time, wasn't they?
Yeah, the first night. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought that was like a hit. Oh, so
it's supposed to have been a hit it or quit it, but it kept going.
So it kept going. So it must he was hitting it right? Yeah, he was hitting it right. Had to be. You don't get 2 or 3 chances, Gene. If you don't hit it right the first time, that's a wrap. I'm just saying.
Hey, I already know.
I don't have time to teach.
There you go.
Right? We don't have time to teach. So tell your boys they better get it right.
Hey,
they gotta get it right. Mine. All right. So, okay, Crystal, we're just totally getting out. Just forgive me. But anyway, so now you guys are very involved. When does it go to the next level?
He ended up getting locked up for a little bit. I thought he just disappeared.
So it didn't end there. This is the next level, she says.
Well, no, that's what happened.
Okay, so what did he go to jail for? Can we ask? What did he go to jail for?
It was a battery charge he had before I met him.
Okay. It was something that happened before you. Okay.
Yes,
it happens. People go to jail. So you supported him while he was in jail? Yes.
Just writing letters. That's the only support. That's the only support you're getting from me.
Oh, you're not putting any money in the canteen?
Oh, no. I always told him how much money you give me before you get locked up is what you'll get back. You don't give me anything, I can't help you.
Ooh, oh my goodness. She's like, oh no, you're not getting money from me. Okay, so he eventually gets out and then you're there to pick him up? Yes?
No.
No?
He comes over a few days later.
Okay.
And we sit and talk and decide what we want to do. I told him
did you decide?
I didn't want a relationship at that time. Just wanted to keep it with friends with benefits until I felt a little better about the whole situation.
It's so interesting to hear friends with benefits, Gene. Do men like that these days? Or do men want it all to themselves?
You know what? I can't speak for other men.
I know you're married. We know that.
No. Honestly, even when I wasn't married, I didn't want to be with anybody that I didn't think I could not marry. I always thought marriage. I always thought family. And if it could not go there, then I didn't want to.
You are so atypical. You know that. There's nothing typical about you. I mean, I peeped that last night. There's nothing. You're like the guy that we should model the others after.
No,
You know, seriously.
Don't model.
Well, I'm not talking about everything because I don't want a man that wears an Oklahoma hat. That's for sure.
All right. Talk to me, Crystal. Talk to me.
All right. So
what happened after that, Queen?
All right. Yeah. What happened next?
Oh, well, I ended up getting my own place. He moved in with me, and we decided to finally take it to the next level.
Did you have a job?
Get a relationship. No, 9 to 5. He did stuff with his uncle who had his own business, but
that's good.
Yeah.
As long as he's helping, it doesn't matter what. I mean, well, it does matter what.
Yes.
I'm just saying, at least he's helping, and it is hard. You know, in his defense, it's hard to get a job after you got that record.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So now you guys are moving in together, and you're living this life. And is there a talk of marriage at any point?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
There is. Yeah.
And then what is that conversation like?
I don't want to be with nobody else. I don't want you with anybody else kind of conversation. We need to do the right thing. Now that conversation went on for years.
So he actually asked you to marry him?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you say?
I said yes.
Did you consult with anyone?
No.
You didn't talk to a pastor, your mom?
No.
Nobody?
Nobody.
Not an uncle, cousin, nothing?
No.
So you just said yes?
Yes.
All right. So tell us about the wedding. How was it?
Nice and ghetto and fabulous. But we didn't, see, that was in 2003. We didn't get married till 2009.
Okay. So 6 years you guys lived together, and then you did the 2009 thing.
Yeah.
Now I want everybody to know, tell us about your wedding day and take us through the wedding night.
Our wedding, well, we his uncle married us. He's a pastor. And so we got married in their living room while they were in the midst of packing. And it was quick.
Quick.
Yeah, very quick.
You're just trying to get married. So after you guys got married, then what? On your wedding night?
We had lived with my aunt. So we had eventually moved out of there and got our own place. And we decided to have a little housewarming with a few friends. So he cooked. So it was a nice little evening. Him and his friend running in and out. He'd asked for the keys to our van. And I was like, I'm not giving it up. You're not supposed to be driving. We don't want your friend driving. So I went ahead and gave him the keys. He comes back in. Can I get some money? I'm not feeling that one either. And so what he ended up doing, he twisted my arm behind my back and told me that if I didn't give him the money, that it was going to get worse. So I was like, it got worse later on that evening. It did. So he didn't come back about the time I thought he would. Friends that left. He had a thing with the kids where he put everybody to bed. That was his ritual with the kids. So it was just kind of awkward. And I just remember I wasn't feeling good that night. I have two girls from previous relationships and we have a son together. So I ended up putting the baby down and went on to sleep, and he woke me up. And it's like, well, tonight, can we go ahead and do our honeymoon tonight? You gonna give me that one thing you promised me? I was like, nah, I just don't feel good. So it was a back and forth arguing for a little while. Then I finally gave in. But he was like, no, for real, I want what you promised me. You gonna give it to me? It's like, no, I just don't feel good.
Crystal, do you feel comfortable telling our audience what it is he wanted?
He wanted it anal, is what he wanted. And I just wasn't feeling comfortable with that. And I wasn't feeling.
Did you promise him that? Did you promise him?
I did.
Why did you promise him that?
Shut him up.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So that night he was trying to make good on that promise, and you didn't want to do it. And what did he do when you said, I don't want to do it?
By the third, no. I recall just seeing black in his eyes, and then his hands went around my neck. And I remember trying to get a breath. I was sitting there praying, like, Lord, help me, I need to breathe. And so I ended up screaming. And his friend came in the room and pulled him off of me.
And, so had his friend not come in that room, he probably would have killed you.
Right.
Just because you wouldn't give him anal sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I got up and went and checked on the girls and made sure that we didn't wake them up, made sure the baby was still asleep. no apology out of him or nothing. And he just looked at me and he said, "Don't you, how do you put it? You remember the night that we met? What does that got to do with anything about right now?" There's no apology anywhere in that.
So your friend came and took him off of you. Then where did he go?
He went back downstairs.
And then what happened the next morning? Because they usually wake up and act like nothing happened. Did he do that as well?
Yeah. Yep. He was like, "Oh, let's get everybody together." It was his nephew's birthday. He was helping cook for the party. He's like, "Let's get us together so we can get over there." And I called my godmama because when I woke up, my eyes were bloodshot red, my neck and my ears. I looked terrible. And so I was just asking her. She had an asthma attack, and the same thing happened to her eyes. So I was asking her, how soon did her eyes, did it go back? So she was like, "What happened?" "Oh, I just had an allergic reaction to some food," and left it at that.
Now, that is very typical, Jean. Go ahead.
Now, Crystal, do you have a father figure in your life?
I lost my dad in 2003.
So you didn't have a father figure or brother or someone that you could call or contact during this whole event? Or someone that would just a male presence?
No.
I noticed that is something that men prey on when there's a woman that doesn't have male presence. I'm finding that to be a cycle. So that's why I asked. It's not just you, even my own daughter. She experienced foolishness because she told the man that I wasn't in her life.
Wow. So you felt alone at this point, Crystal. You just felt like, okay, did you think, okay, is this going to be my life? Did you think, oh no, I need to get out of this? I mean, what did you think when you woke up and looked in that mirror and saw your eyes bloodshot red?
He got to go. I can't do this.
Okay, so right away you were like, I can't do this. But did you stay with him?
For a hot second. It wasn't long. It wasn't another 2 weeks before it's like because he put his hands on me again. Like, you got to go.
So tell us about that time.
I locked him up on a warrant that he ended up having. I found out the day of the party that, let me back up. I went to the hospital to get my face checked out and ended up finding in the midst of that, I was pregnant. And so when we went to his sister's house and I was talking to his sisters about it, they was asking me what I wanted to do. And it's like, he got to go. I can't do this. But his parents had told him it was a postcard that came. He had a warrant. And they was telling him to handle that. But in the midst of saying that, they told him, if I made him do that to me, then he needs to go back home.
Wow.
Yeah. So I ended up calling him in on the warrant. And because I didn't want DCS to get involved if I called him in on the domestic violence.
Isn't that something? Wait a minute. Because you just said something interesting there. You said you didn't want to call on domestic violence because you were afraid DCS would get involved. Is that how it works, guys? When you're going through domestic violence?
They end up getting involved because of the when I locked him up that second time. Well, after he put his hands on me again, because he was in work release and didn't complete any of his time. He just came and broke in. And
when I tell us about that time when he came and broke into your house.
Yeah, old house. I heard him walking down the hallway, and I just heard the footsteps. So I thought it was one of the kids. So I get up to go use the bathroom because I was sick, like real sick. And he's sitting on the floor crying. I want my family back. He didn't apologize. He just kept saying he wanted the family back. And so I just told him I didn't have time for it and went to the bathroom. I threw up and went back and lay down. And he just kept crying and complaining, crying and complaining. So he broke the baby up. No, he went to lay him back down. And the girls were in the room laying on the floor. And so they got up. They were just happy to see him. And so he asked them, he said, well, who your mama been in here screwing? Who she been sucking? Is what he asked them. And so it just started a big argument. And so when I expressed my opinion on what he said, and so he smacked me. And
in front of the kids.
In front of the kids. So I ended up going next door because our phone was disconnected at the time. So I went next door and had my neighbor to call the police. And so she's on the phone with them, arguing with them because they said, because we're married, he had the right to come in the house anytime he wanted to.
Yeah.
And so once she told them that I was pregnant, they showed up, but they were like 2 blocks away anyway.
Wow. Wow. So then what happened?
Oh, they went ahead and arrested him and told me that somebody was going to come back the next morning because my house was a wreck and that I needed to clean it up before DCS got involved.
Wow.
And so my neighbor came over and helped me straighten up. And
so how does, I mean, this is, it seems to me, Jean and Tina and Crystal, that DCS should collaborate with women's shelters and all of this so that we can keep the families together.
It's a money racket.
Wow.
It's a money racket. That's all it is. It has no emphasis on the children. They don't care about the children. They don't care about the family. They care about maintaining an organization that makes money off of problem situations. That's it.
Wow. Like my brain is working. I'm thinking, because we have to find a way. Because I'm trying to find a way in my nonprofit how to bring this stuff, because we have to keep our families together.
Yes.
That is our strength. We need the man in his place. We need the woman in her place and the children in their place. Everybody's out of place now. People are fulfilling roles that they weren't meant to do because men are in jail. The woman has to do everything. And it's almost like that's a plan, right, Jean? Get the man out of the household.
That's the racket. That's the racket. If I can get the man out of place, the woman's going to be out of place. DCS can come in and anybody and everybody else. It's horrible. There's no entity to really help the family. The judicial system is oh my gosh, I don't know who it works for. The laws are not written for us. I'll just put it that way.
Well, I think we definitely, I'm going to say this. When we finish this week, we need to seriously talk about moving forward to do something for real about domestic violence. These shows are great, but it's not enough. You know, we have to effect change in the judicial system so that we don't have to keep having these shows. We have more success stories. No, I called the cops and they came right away. No, I didn't call the cops. I called this agency and they called the cops and we all worked together and got, you know what I'm saying? There needs to be more collaboration, because when the cops come, now you're at their mercy for how they're feeling that day. But I don't think you got beat up by that woman, Jean. You're lying. That woman didn't hit you. You know what I'm saying?
It's never been that way. It's never been that way, Miss Ella. Never. The police have never been on our side.
Wow. Okay, so Crystal. So where are we now? At this point.
In and out the hospital a lot because I found out I was pregnant with twins. And
twins for this man. Ooh.
Yeah. And I couldn't eat.
Why were you
sleep.
sick a lot? What was the reason for your
the twins?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were just taking everything from me. And
where
so
was he in the process of all of this?
In jail.
He was in jail. So now you're pregnant with twins. You're in the hospital. He's in jail. You have no support. You have no support because you're not involving your family.
No, my sent the girls to Ohio to be with a friend. Between my son's godmother and my aunt, they kept him. And when I was home, he was with me. This is the back and forth. But I made sure. Now I couldn't handle all 3 of them, so a friend decided to take the girls for the summer.
Now let's talk about Crystal. Because we're talking about this abuser. How was Crystal doing? I mean, Terrible. Be honest with me and take yourself back to you're pregnant with twins. You're sick. Your kids are not with you. They're out with other people. He's in jail. What did you do every day to just want to get up the next day?
Medicated is the biggest thing, because every time I sat up, I got sick. Every time I went to walk, I got sick.
Wow. I'm talking about mentally. How did you cope?
I didn't. I just took it and pushed it down.
Pushed it where?
Just push it all down in the pit of my stomach and just to hide from it. I didn't cope at all.
So did you ever get counseling?
Yes, I started going to therapy last year. No, the year before.
Okay. Well, good. I mean, that's good. Self-care, that's good. So you are just trying to make it. You're like, okay,
Yes.
I got to deliver these babies. So you're in a what was your living situation like? Did you need a bigger place now? Or were you not even thinking about that? You're just trying to deliver these babies the best you could.
Right. That was the biggest thing, and keeping DCS out. But an investigator showed up one of the times I was in the hospital and let me know they was coming back. A neighbor came back over and helped me straighten up, but they got involved. And they wanted the girls back from Ohio. They wanted to make sure all the kids were back
They don't
home.
show up when they need to, right?
No.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, keep going, dear.
So they when the kids came back, my oldest daughter mentioned that the husband had molested her and the younger girl a year prior. So that was mentioned with to myself, and but at that point I started talking to other people. It's like I can't deal
Can't
with
do
this
this by
too.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody filed a report. So I filed the police report, and then it goes automatically. DCS finds out about it, and now they're like the caseworker said I was too stressed with the kids, so they removed the kids.
Oh,
And so after he removed the kids, he came back a few days later and said, well, got the girls together, but we can't find your baby. We don't know which house we put him in.
what?
Yeah. And so it's like, are you serious?
Oh, hell no. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, Lord. They're telling DCS
Mhm.
is telling you that they don't know where they put the baby.
Right. The woman who had the girls really didn't have room for him too. So they separated them. So he comes back the next day to tell me that where he was, he kept trying to get out the door. He didn't want to be there. So he found out where he was. So the lady that had the girls finally got him too.
How old was he, the baby, at that time?
He was 1.
He was 1.
Mm.
So listen, I want to interview women who have actually gone through the system, because it is a very ugly thing. How did you, what kind of requirements they put on you? Because they put a lot of stuff on you that you have to do. What kinds of things did they tell you?
I needed to do parenting class. I had to do a domestic violence class. Those were the main 2 that I had to do.
They didn't make you take a psychological examination or anything?
I had to do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about a case plan? Did they give you one of those?
You got a case plan and everything. There was a lot of people in and out my house, in and out daily.
I'm sure.
How many kids did you have at that time?
3.
Wow. Now let's go back to the girls. When they said that he molested him, that's the first time you heard that?
Yes.
And what time span did they say that happened?
It happened once, but a year prior to them telling me.
So it happened one time that he did what he did to them.
Father?
No. He raised them, but he was not their father.
Oh, so he's stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever confront him? Because I know he's out of the house, but did you ever confront him about this?
I asked him.
What did he say?
Later. It was years later. He said he didn't do anything.
Of course. But he got how many years?
He signed a plea agreement. I believe it was 20. He did 10.
And he's out.
He's out. Yeah.
Now, does he see your son, your baby?
No, he doesn't see I call them 3 Musketeers. He doesn't see them at all. No.
Wow. So as you tell this story, what are you feeling? Do you feel like you're healing, or do you feel like you're still hurting?
No, I feel like I'm healing. Therapy has been helping a whole lot.
What are they making you do? What kind of exercises are they giving you to do?
No, it's a lot of talking. We're going step by step. Her biggest thing is saying that she's not going to take me somewhere that at that point I'm not ready for. So we've been talking about basically the same thing I'm talking to you about. And the next step, we're going to go through the childhood. But I met her through DCS. She was our home-based therapist, and we stayed in contact over the years.
Do you find it hard sometimes to just really tell it? You can't, because I sense that you're that kind of person who kind of holds back a little. You're like, I'll give you a little bit, but I'm not gonna give it
Yeah.
all. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, where does that come from, Jean? What do you think that is? That she's a little reluctant to tell it all, just like because me, I would be I don't leave out any details, even the gory stuff. You're like, well, Ella, you could have just not said that. But I tell it all.
Everybody's different. Everybody's
Yeah.
different. People are comfortable speaking, whereas others are not. And I get that. I totally understand that. You know, we're new to her, and she's new to us.
No, we're sisters.
Well,
We
you
are
know,
sisters. Don't you
but
see the resemblance?
but everybody,
What you talking about?
everybody,
If I take this wig off, my head probably look right.
hey, look, we yeah, everybody,
Triplets. Oh.
everybody
right.
manages pain differently,
Right.
you know, and it's the beauty of it, but it's also the complexity of it. You know, there's the volcanic, there's the leaking, and there's the talking. So you have people who don't talk until they explode. You have people who leak. They're constantly talking about it. You know, while they're washing dishes, while they're shopping. You know, it just, you know, we all are so different, but yet we are still human. So we thank you so much, Crystal. I don't know how complex or how difficult that was for you to share, but we really appreciate you
Really do.
doing that, because
Yeah.
we hope that someone hears this, understands this, and can relate to you, and you can relate to them, and that they will seek help and deal with this, so that it doesn't cost or go as long as it went and cost as much as it did.
Mhm.
So what is your did you have good times with this man ever?
Yeah, we had some good times. Yeah.
More good than bad?
More good than bad. Yes.
Right. So, you know, we talk about the women and the men who are abused, but we never talk about the abuser. Because I think that that is also necessary. And I want to be able to see if I can find some brave men or women out there brave enough to come on the Ella Johnson show and talk about how they abuse, because we need to get in their heads, because if we just keep recycling them in the system, they're just going to go to somebody else and do it.
Mhm.
So we have to heal everybody. What do you think did you know anything about his past? Did he have a good family life? Do you know anything about what he may have gone through?
Abuse from the stepfather. He had mentioned that a few times, and basically because he's the only boy, so he spent a lot of time at his grandma's and with different aunties and stuff, because he wasn't wanted at home.
He wasn't wanted at
I
home.
mean, yeah, the oldest child.
Wow. So you see, it just goes all around, and this is, it's almost like a cycle that keeps our families torn apart.
Communities.
Mental health is real, you
Yes.
know, and we can't stop running from that. We need to go ahead and face the fact that I mean, with all we've been through, it's a wonder, you know, we're not doing more with everything from generation to generation that we as Black people have gone through. It's a wonder that we're not running around just shooting folks, just, you know, for all, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's, I'm not trying to be loose with it, but
we are.
I mean, you know, and I just think that, well, Crystal, I'm very happy for you that you were able to not go through years of it. You were just like, nope, let me nip this in the bud right now,
Mhm.
you know. But how did you feel when you went to the hospital and the doctor said, I want you to tell my viewers what the doctor said to you when they saw you in the hospital?
They told me that they never seen anybody look the way I did that was alive.
Yeah.
And they
What were they
took
looking at, Crystal? What was
my
he looking
face.
at?
He was looking at my face. It was the biggest thing. Yeah.
Tell us what your face looked like.
Bloodshot, red eyes, ears and neck, the red. My whole face basically red, scratched up.
He did all of that to you.
Yes. They took pictures and had me sign a waiver for the Indiana, what's it,
University School of Medicine.
Medicine, yes,
Hmm.
for them to use.
Yeah. Well, at least you're helping people as well
Yes.
Yeah.
as you are tonight. You're a very brave woman. I'm just honored to know you. And I just, what would you like to say to people that are watching this broadcast that you want them to take from your story and your situation?
Get out while you're ahead. For the first time, go. Because it's 9 times out of 10, if it happens once, it's going to happen again.
It's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Because he almost killed you.
Right.
Yeah. It was nothing but an angel that allowed the man downstairs to hear
Mhm.
you scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
And
said he said he came in and passed out. Said he was blacked out, and he heard me scream.
Wow.
wow.
Body.
I'm glad you were able to find a breath, girl, because you have a purpose, And if you
Yes.
still have a pulse, you have a purpose. And that's for
Amen.
everybody watching this
Yes.
broadcast.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much.
You're
Tina.
welcome.
Oh,
Yes.
Tina, Tina,
Ah,
Tina.
Tina J.
Girl, what?
Tina
Listen,
J.
I'm definitely gonna finish your book, but just the
okay.
part that I've read.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, Tina.
Yeah.
We gotta start from the beginning with yours because there are
Okay.
so many things in yours that are just unbelievable. You're sitting here, you're able to smile, you're
Yes.
here to encourage other people. You're not hiding anywhere, but you
Mm-mm.
went through it. She went through it. So
Yes.
let's start with your childhood. Let's talk about how things were for you growing up, and because I want everybody to talk a little bit about that, so we can kind of pull this thing apart and see where it all began.
Okay, I can tell you it definitely began at my childhood. I'm from a little town in Mississippi, Yazoo City, Mississippi.
I saw that on your
And
profile, Yazoo City.
yes,
What
yes,
the heck?
yes.
That's about as
It's
bad as Oklahoma. Yazoo City,
Yazoo City,
Mississippi.
Mississippi. It's in the Delta. It's not too far from Jackson. Everybody know what
Okay,
Jackson is. So,
right. Okay.
but that's where I was born and raised. And it's five of us. I'm next to the eldest. And my home was full of domestic violence. My dad was an abuser, and that's the way we was raised, seeing that, being next to the oldest. The younger ones, they kind of don't remember, but as they got older they start seeing it, and it just was not good. It was not good. And I remember as a little girl, just laying in the bed and just hearing it, because we was in, back then, we had these, like, what they call them, shotgun houses. And
Yeah.
my mom and dad was in the living room. We had the middle room, and of course, the bathroom was in the room with us, in the kitchen. It was just basically three rooms, so we all the kids slept in the same room, and would just hear things. And I just remember, nights just crying, because I was, my mom and I, we were very close. And my mom passed away at 59 years old. And just, she just went through a lot. And I was just, nights I would just pray, Lord, just wish she just died. Basically, I did. And I'm just gonna be honest. I'm very transparent when I speak. We just went through a whole lot at growing up, seeing too much, and I attribute that, to a lot of me choosing the wrong men. And I even said at the beginning of the book, a girl's first love should be the love that she should receive from the man that should give it to her, and that's her
Yeah.
father. I
Father.
did not get that. I saw the opposite. And I was like, I'm just determined. I'm not going to ever, as a little girl, saying, I'm not going to ever
Get in that
go
situation.
through that.
Yeah. Take us
But,
into that shotgun house and tell us a little bit about what you did see. Like
oh
what was he
gosh,
doing?
he would go and come, and just take things out on mama. I would, we didn't actually see it, but we heard it.
You
and
heard
and
it.
the evidence was there in the morning. I remember one time I heard like a glass shattering the wall. And then in the morning I would look at mama, and sometimes she would, like, I got this from work or whatever. And, just, being a little girl, just 10, 11 years old, just knowing that that's not true. And I started, having a little, animosity toward my father. And I'll be
Of
honest, even
course.
today, we do not have a father and daughter relationship. And that breaks my heart. I've tried everything that I could possibly do, that we just don't. And I can honestly say, Ella, searching and looking, and every man that I attracted was my father. This
Wow.
My book was not the first time I'd been in a domestic violence relationship. I was in one in my early 20s, and that was my first time. And then here I am in my late 40s, almost 50 years old. I'm in it again. And like
Wow.
I said in my beginning of my book, I saw the red flags. I had been in it before. So my life, my childhood, it just consisted of a lot of domestic violence, but there was some good time. My grandfather, he was the glue that kind of kept us all together. He kind of stepped into the role of being there when
Right.
my dad wasn't there. He would take us back in the day. I'm gonna go ahead and tell my age, y'all. I'm almost 59. I'll be 59 in October. So
You look
we would
great. You look
thank
beautiful.
you, thank
Yes.
you, thank you.
You have a
So
beautiful
he would
smile. Yes.
thank you so much. So he would, step up. He'd take us fishing. We did a lot of that. And we'd go uh, just have barbecues. And, I had a lot of good memories. And my grandfather passed away when I was like 13 years old. So, and that just devastated me because I was really close to him. He was my father figure, not just for me, for my other siblings as well. So when he passed away, it's just like, my dad was still, there in the home, in and out, just doing whatever he wanted to do, and just still
So
being abusive.
did your mom stay with him until she
Mhm.
passed?
Well, she stayed with him until we all got out of high school, and that was a promise that she stayed. And we were all grown and out of high school, and I was on my way to college. And that was the day that she confronted him somewhere.
Good for her.
And she's
Good
like,
for
"You
her.
can come get your clothes. I'm done." And at that point, she was done. She was done with him. And
Good
like I
for
said,
her.
we were all at the house by that time. And
So let's talk about when you started dating. When you started dating and you said, okay, I'm going to go out here now in the world and get my own life. And I want to see what it's like to be with a guy. What was that first boyfriend like?
well, my story is kind of like Crystal's story. I was 15. Like I say, I was certain, never. I'm
Y'all
just
some
being
little hot
real G.
mamas.
I'm just saying.
Little hot in the britches.
15, y'all. I was a
Isn't that
surgeon,
what the old
looking for
people used to say?
love.
Just hot, but they used to say hot in the ASS though. That's what they would say. Okay.
Richard had this new guy, a guy come to town, and everybody in high school kind of liked him, but he liked me. Actually, matter of fact,
Okay.
he lived right across the street from us, so it was so convenient. So when my mom and daddy went to work, I'm just reading between the lines, y'all. Okay. So long story short, I end up having a baby at
Okay.
16.
Okay.
Well, I got pregnant at 15. I had him at 16. So I have
Okay.
my oldest son. He's 42 years old.
Okay.
Um, and we stayed together for a moment. It was about almost time to go graduate from high school. I was able to finish high school. I had to
That's
go to
good.
school during the summer to catch up with my class. So I graduated class of 1980. So I was able to do that, and was able to go to college. End up moving down to Louisiana, and that's when I got into my first abusive relationship. So
So
I
how did
already
you
had
guys
one
meet?
child.
How
Huh?
did you guys meet? You have one child, you're in Louisiana, and you met this
Yes.
guy. How did he
Uh,
come up? Please don't tell me you met him on a bike.
no, no,
I'm going to
no
scream.
bike.
Okay. How did you
Actually,
meet him?
my aunt introduced us.
Okay.
She introduced us. Yeah, so I kind of, started checking him out, and we started, hanging out, and some things started happening. I was living with an aunt, and I was like, I don't want to be over there anymore. So I ended up moving in with him,
Okay.
and end up pregnant again with my second son.
Fertile Myrtle. Okay.
Yeah, too fertile. But anyway, so I had, and that's after the baby was born. That's when he became abusive. He had already started being more controlling toward me. You know, here I am in a new city, and you know, I had some family there, but when I moved in him, then I really, with him, I really, really saw him and for who he was. Then he started being abusive toward me,
Tell me the first
and
time that you noticed that
the
he was.
first time, if I can remember correctly, it's been so long ago. The first time, I'm I don't think this the first time was when he just he was just so controlling. My babies, my two babies, my oldest at that time, this was a 4 year difference in their ages. So my oldest, he was like 4, and the baby, he might have been a year old. So I remember, I don't remember exactly what happened, but all I remember is being on the floor, and he was kicking me, and my little baby's looking at me, and I was crying. And I'm gonna tell y'all, this is something I have never forgotten, but I have forgiven him for it. That he, after he got through doing what he did to me, he spit on me. He did.
Oh,
Yes,
heck.
that was the most degrading thing that
Ooh.
I experienced. Somebody doing that to me. But he was a huge man at that time. I was very tiny. I didn't put on a lot of weight over the years. I'm just saying. But anyway, I was a small woman. He was about 6 feet, big guy, very controlling and very abusive toward me. And I dealt with that for a little while. But then
So were
it's
you getting the same kind of whippings your mom was getting?
kind, yeah. Hmm.
Sounds
I
like it.
couldn't, yeah, I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. If I go
No.
anywhere, he had to know where I was going, when I was coming back. I remember one night I called myself, I'm gonna be brave. I'm going out with my aunt and my friends. They wanted me to go out because I wasn't hanging, I wasn't doing anything. So I went, and we was in the club, and the next thing I know, my aunt looked at me. She said, "Oh, girl, I'm going to." She said, "Girl, Big Mike, he's standing at the door. He did this number." And you know what I did? I got up and I went, and I paid for that as well.
What do
So
you mean you
that
paid
was
for
my
that? What do
yeah.
you mean you paid for it?
I paid for it because he abused me. He, hit me and kind of knocked me around and stuff, and told me don't ever do that again. If I go anywhere, I gotta get permission to go. Yeah. So
Oh God.
yeah, I had to get permission. So after a
Now,
while,
now
I was just tired. And then I was just tired, and I was like, you know what? I kind of moved out from him, and then I got my own place, and then he moves in with me and my boys, and still being abusive. And I remember this night, I was just tired. I was like, you know what? I'm done. So this is what I told him. I said, let me tell you something. You got to go to sleep tonight. I had already went outside and found this big 2x4, and I had it. And I got it. I said, just go to sleep. You go to sleep, and I promise you, you ain't gonna wake up. And if you do wake up, you ain't gonna be able to move. I
you told him that?
I told him that. And y'all, homeboy got his stuff and he left. He decided, oh, I'm gonna hurt her some kind of way. So he decided, because he had brought a refrigerator, he decided to come and get the refrigerator. I'm like, okay. So you're gonna take from your son. So, but I was done with it. So that was my first round. I had the strength to say no, no more. And after that, I said, I'm not gonna ever do this again. Because I always tell people, don't ever say what you're not gonna do, because God will put you back in that situation. And when I got in it again, I felt it more deeper than I did the first time.
Now
I,
let me
I
ask you
really did.
something. How soon did you go from that relationship to this new one? What
Oh,
time?
it was a long time.
A
In
long
between
time.
that, after I got out of this relationship, I ended up um, meeting a guy, and actually, I already knew him. So we months later we started like dating and stuff. And I remember, I guess my ex was stalking me, so he actually followed me, and I was going to this his house. So I get out of the car, and the next thing I know, he's there, and they two head to head. And like he told him, he said, "Man, fight me. I'm a man. Come on, fight me." So what you think he did? He hauled his behind and left.
That
After
sounds like
that,
something you would have said, Gene.
What I notice is that anytime a female stands up to her abuser, uh, most of them, 9 times out of 10, they will exit the building. They will not fight because
yeah,
they don't fight men. They
hmm
prey on people or women that they know they can beat, and when you
yeah,
stand up to them, they remove themselves from the equations.
that's what
But
he
should
did.
women always do it this way, though? I mean, because sometimes
Mm-mm.
some men it might
Yeah,
backfire, right?
like the one I
So
had in the book. So yeah,
yeah.
it was a lot of years. So we ended up getting married, and we had a child together. So I have 3 sons. And that didn't last long. He was not abusive. He just had other things going on. So after that, ended up getting a divorce, stayed single for a long time. Then I remarried again. It wasn't abusive, but had other things going on with them. So I just walked away from that marriage. And
What are some
after
of these
that,
other things?
other things, they had drug problems.
Okay.
They were on drugs and stuff, and just put me and my boys to a lot of stuff. So I had to let that go.
So
It
how are your
wasn't good for me.
kids responding to all of this moving
It
from
wasn't
one
good.
house to
I
the
put them
next,
through
one relationship? Yeah.
a whole lot. Yes, it did. It just, I could see, when they were growing up, I saw different, how to, acting out and stuff. And my oldest son, he ended up doing things on the streets and stuff, and he actually left the home at an early age, my home. And so I just had the 2 younger ones that I kind of reared up, and they stayed with me. But I took them through a lot. I did. And like I say, now I can own it. I have owned it. I
Have you
thank God that,
apologized to them?
yes, I thank God that, we have awesome relationship
That's
now.
nice. I
They
like
know what
that.
mama them been through. They support me in everything that I do. So I'm super proud of them. And I just, I put them through a lot. And like I say, I'll own it all day long. And then when I'm
Now, have we
speaking,
gotten to the guy in the book yet?
okay,
We
we finna get to him.
we getting ready
So
because we've been through
we
a
finna,
we've
we
been
finna
through
get to
a
him. So
relationship and
after
2
that,
marriages.
yeah, after the second marriage, I had,
Okay.
I was done. I don't want to do this thing no more. I'm just gonna
Right.
do me. So I had been single for like 14 years. I really wasn't dating. I just didn't want to be bothered. So at this point, I was doing a business. I had stepped away from a job. I was doing a coffee business. So I was out sampling at a truck stop. Me and my business partner, and she had already talked to him, so I go behind, and that's when the conversation started. We started talking, and that's how we met. We met.
What was the
I was out.
conversation like? I'm curious. What
The
was the conversation?
conversation was, it was a good conversation. I was attracted to him. I was.
Okay.
So I gave him the sample of coffee, and I told him I was gonna just follow up with him in a few days, and I didn't. It was just something to say, okay, let me just call him. Just call him. So
So you were trying to keep it professional.
yes.
Hmm. But you
So
still had that little thing going on, like,
I did.
uh-huh.
So
I
when you
get
said
you.
you gave him a sample of coffee, we still talking about the business.
She was trying to
Yeah.
be professional.
I was
Yeah.
trying to be
Hey, I'm trying to follow you. I'm trying to follow you because I
yeah.
don't some subliminal messages is tough around here. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you're saying. Yes, okay,
Yeah. I was
cool.
being professional. So I was doing my callback, but I did it early instead of the day that I said I was. So I called him, and he answered the phone, and he said, "Is this Tina?" I said, "Yes." And then he said this, and I think I said this in my book. He said, "Is this confirmation?" I was like,
Yeah, I saw
"Confirmation?"
that.
And
He's trying to be
what,
deep. Look at
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay,
I
and that
said,
was
"Man,
impressive. That
yes,
okay.
confirmation,"
So
because yeah.
so then what?
So we started, we just started talking because he was a truck driver, and I'm in Houston, Texas, and he lived in Seaford, Delaware. So he would, make his runs back and forth, and so we just started talking, and like I said in my book, I saw some red flags, y'all. I did, and I totally ignored them, even in conversation. Because I remember one time we were talking on the phone. Because at this time I was really advocating for domestic violence. I was going down to the Houston area women's shelter, and I was training to be able to, help. So I made a statement. I was like, this is what I'm doing, da 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 da, and I'm interested. I'm passionate about domestic violence. And he had an attitude, and he came back. He said, "But what makes you think it's always got to be the man?" And I was like, "Well, most time it is." And I could just that was a red flag for me right there. After I look back on it, and his attitude kind of like shift. So we kind of talked, and even before I had doing my coffee business, I went to Las Vegas, and I wasn't answering my phone. I'm taking care of my business. So I noticed just ringing my phone, ring. I wouldn't answer, and so when I finally answered, his first thing was, "What? Who you with?" And I'm like, "What?" Just a whole lot of things, and so he said a few things, and then I didn't hear from him for a while, which I was cool with that. And I was like, this ain't right. But finally, I guess
So
about
you
a
said,
week,
now go back to that part right there. You
mhm,
said something isn't
it's
right.
not right. Yeah, and I knew it. Like I said, it was some red flags. I
Yeah,
kept ignoring them. I
because he was
did.
so good looking. I get it.
Yes, and I had been alone, y'all. Remember, 14 years. I tell women now, oh
Well,
no,
honey,
don't
listen, I
be
wish
letting
you
that
would have known
desperation
me.
get you.
I wish I would have known you, because I would have said, listen, this is a lot less complicated than this man. I'm telling you,
Yes,
you can't divorce it, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So we
Genius.
didn't talk for a while.
But right, Jay,
So
I mean, but you know what? I don't want to gloss over this, because I really want women to know there are other things
yeah,
than just being in a relationship.
exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes, definitely, most
Okay.
definitely.
All right. Go ahead.
So we kind of like started talking back, and then he was like, I don't know what happened to his job, but he lost his job. So he was really wanting to move to Houston. And of course, I had my own house, everything, da, 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 and I was like, well, yeah, you can do that. And when I said in my book, moving too fast, I met him in October. It was like the day after my birthday, or 2 days after my birthday. And so here we met in October. In February, he was in Houston in my house. Like I said, that was out of my character, because I just at that point I know that should have never happened. But
Right.
anyway, so he got the job. He's a truck driver. He hauled cars from state to state, picking up cars. So I wasn't working, so I was like, okay, wanted to see if I could go ride with him on one of his trips. So he had to get it cleared, and I was able to go. And that was the first time that I really saw the physical abuse.
Yes,
Um,
you did.
yeah, so we were on our way to Dallas to pick up a car, and we were talking about um, I don't remember what the conversation. I think it was about uh something about one of the daughter's birthday or something,
Well, I'll tell you,
because
you guys were having a conversation about the
yeah,
daughters, and he wanted to
yeah,
give the daughter $500 for
yeah.
some
It
tires,
was
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
said it should be half,
yeah,
and then let
yeah,
her pay the rest, and he didn't
yeah,
agree with that.
or get her
Yeah,
mom to help.
yeah.
So he said something, uh, and he said, and I said something because my mouth was smart, and I said, well, if I don't shut up, what? And next thing I know,
Oh,
I had my glasses on. I still have the scar right here. So by the time we
ooh.
got to Dallas,
Yeah,
y'all,
you said that he hit you so hard in the face with
uh-huh,
your glasses on that your
mm-hmm,
face started to bleed.
and my eye. By the time we got to Dallas, and this is this one right here, because he's here and I'm in the passenger seat. By the time we got to Dallas, my eye was it was swollen. And I was just devastated, and I cried the whole way there. So he made me get out of the truck. I didn't want to get out of the truck, and I really was fixing to run. I didn't know where I was going. I hate, but I was gonna run. So I just stood there, and I was just the people could see that I was crying, and people just looking at me. I was so humiliated. So he made me
Because
go in the
you didn't cover your eye. You didn't
Mm-mm,
have anything to cover
mm-mm.
it, right?
No, it was. I mean, it was horrible. So we get in the take care of the business, get in the truck, and started going on the route. And I didn't say anything to him at all. And of course, by the next day, and I'm still a mess. And I'm like, okay, the trips normally lasted about 2 weeks. So we had 2 weeks to go from Dallas all the way to the East Coast and back to Houston. And I knew I had to do something because by that time I had actually gone down. And so and I knew my sons was going to come over. Only two of them was at home at the time. My oldest son, he was in prison at that time, so he didn't, know he didn't know what was going on at that point. None of them did. Nobody did. So by the time we got back home, I had concealed it with concealer. And when I say when my sons came over, I felt I can't explain how I felt inside. I couldn't cry. I had to put on this act like everything was
Yeah.
okay. And I did. I passed it. They didn't suspect anything. They did not. So after a while, everything was okay. And then things just started escalating. And he was
But your sons
really
didn't like the idea that you were going to marry him. They weren't
mm-mm,
with it. Yeah.
mm-mm. No, they didn't. Especially my middle son. He never he saw right through him. He knew something was not right about him, but he would always try to talk to them and stuff and everything and try to get on on a certain level with them. But with that one, he just never really fully got there and stuff. So it was just a lot of chaos getting, leaving and getting off that truck. I remember getting off the truck one time in Baltimore, Maryland. We were getting the truck repaired, and oh my gosh, he talked about me so bad. And we're in public, and I was like, you know what? So I got my purse, I
So he
ran.
humiliated you in
He
public
did.
and just
He did. And I went hid in the truck, in the bathroom at a truck stop. And I just hid. I did not come out of there. And I was just, and I waited for him to leave because he had to, be on schedule to deliver those cars. But he didn't leave. He was still riding around trying to find me. So I
that
was
was a
able
smart
to,
move, actually. That was
yeah.
a smart move. Tell us about the time he choked you out and tell our viewers what you had to do to get him to stop.
Yeah. So we were on our way to deliver a customer's car. And that night we had pulled in. It wasn't actually a truck stop. It was like a place. It was a Dunkin' Donuts across the street. And I guess only a few trucks could park across the way. Well, anyway, we pulled in that night. And it's just like pure evil was in him that night. And I've seen evil before, but this particular night, he started accusing me of having an affair with the neighbor next door. Y'all, I didn't even know the neighbor. And he had this notion because, let me just back up just a tad. We had gone home. We were home for like a few days, and I was in the yard working in my flower bed, and the neighbor was in his yard. So he comes to the door and just I don't know, just trying to say we were together. Well, anyway, getting back to that night, we were getting ready for bed, and then he started questioning me and accusing me and trying to get me to admit that I was having an affair with the neighbor. And I told him I'm not gonna admit to something that I did not do.
Right.
And the next thing I knew, his hands were around my neck and he was choking me. And I have a grandson, and we used to keep the baby a lot. And he really loved my grandbaby. So I started getting to the point where I was just like, I was about to pass out. And the only thing I could muster out was asking him to stop. Can you stop? Just think about jamming. And that's what we called him. We called him jamming. think about him. I love my grandbaby. I love my grandchildren. I think about all my grandkids, and then he stopped. So, but he stopped choking me. But then he started. I'm like in a fetal position in the back of a truck, y'all, in the cab, in the back sleeper part. So I'm back there and just in the like drawn up in like a fetal position. Then he proceeded to just start pounding me in my back, and then all of a sudden he just stopped, and then he starts to crying and stuff. So we ended up just going to bed, and I just cried up the whole night. And then he just told me I better shut up. If I didn't shut up, he'd do it again. So of course
Now, let me ask you some questions that I should have asked at the beginning. Did you get to know anything about his family, his upbringing, his anything
no.
about him?
Mm-mm.
I
I
think
knew.
at this point, women, we should start getting mental
Yes,
health checked before we get involved with
exactly.
men. I mean,
Absolutely. You're right. You're absolutely right,
because we don't
Ella.
know what
Sound
they've
like,
been through.
yeah, it
That's
sounded
right.
like you had some triggers, and we were crossing those triggers. Is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does not okay anything he did
No.
Right,
or said.
right.
Mm-mm.
I'm just saying, it just sounds like there were triggers,
And it
and
was.
yeah,
Yeah, and I found out a lot of things later. And then he would always talk about, and this is another sign, lady, when you in a relationship and he's always talking about his exes, about what they did and what everybody else did. Like he's always the victim. And that's what he would do. He would talk about
Mm.
how when he was raised up and how his siblings always fought and this and this and this. And he'd always tell stories about family stories, but never anything about what he did. He was always the victim and stuff like that. So I did get all of that, from, at the beginning of the relationship. But I found out a whole lot of stuff after the fact from his daughters. They told me some things. I was like, wow, I wish I would have known all that before. But just like you said, Ella, we have to be more proactive in getting a mental check on everything. Because I even told him, and I'm taking classes right now, being a domestic violence advocate, about the narcissistic behavior, about
yes,
how
yeah,
we shouldn't actually label people because that's a professional diagnosis. But I would definitely tell him something is wrong with you. You need to go get some professional help, because definitely he had every attribute of it. He never was diagnosed, but he had some stuff that was going on in him. He was a broken man. He had a whole lot of stuff going on in him. Yes.
you know what I would like to say. I have noticed that some men who have been abused,
Mm-hmm.
if they're not careful, they're going to be the abuser.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I have seen
Absolutely.
that in women as well.
Yeah.
I have seen women that have been abused, and then they go on to be the abuser in the next
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. He had a lot of
Wow.
stuff going on in him, looking back on it, and just some of the things that he would say. Because, like I said in my book, he wasn't just a bully, just me. He was abusive to people. Because there was an incident in the where we were delivering a guy's truck. I don't know if you got to that part yet, Ella, or not.
Yeah, I read that part.
Yeah,
He beat him
where
up.
the customer was questioning him about his car. There was a scratch on it, and he got livid. He told the man, if you don't step back, because it may be your car, but right now it's mine, and it's not coming off this truck. Da 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 da. And the next thing I know, he got this man uh, choking him, and I'm trying to tell him stop. He tells me to go get in the truck, so of course I did. And when the guy finally he released the man his car, he gets in the truck and he tells me, gets in my face, don't you ever correct me on how to do my job. So after that, I was like,
I hope he
anytime
gets
he,
some help.
huh?
I really do. I hope he
Yeah.
gets some help, because if he doesn't,
Oh,
someone else
wait till you get
is.
to the end of the book. I ain't gonna give it away. No, that ain't gonna happen.
Wow. No, I don't. I want you to tell it, because I want you to tell it. But we're going to talk about another incident that I thought
Yes.
was that I did get to in the book. And it's the time when you had to go to a neighbor's and how you had to go. I want you to tell our viewers about that incident.
About the neighbor.
Do I
Okay,
need
let
to
me
tell
think.
it? I'll tell it. when you had to go naked?
Oh, again, he would wake up in the middle of the night, y'all. Our bedroom was downstairs. And so he would go upstairs. And for some reason, if he said lights were on upstairs, and I know I never leave lights on upstairs. So his thing was, I done brought the neighbor from next door, and we're upstairs doing whatever we do. So that particular night, he goes upstairs. I'm sleeping. He comes down and and drags me out of the bed. What you was doing upstairs? I said, what are you talking about? So then he started hitting me, and then actually there was a table on the side of the bed, and he kind of threw me on the table. So I didn't have any clothes on. I wear glasses. I better have my glasses of contact. I can't see nothing. So I just ran out the house. I ran down a couple of houses down, and I just started
Butt
knocking on
naked.
the door. Nothing on. I had nothing on. And y'all, it was bad. So the neighbor, I told him who I was. I didn't know they would see me. Uh, so, and I told him who I was, and I said, "Can I use your phone?" And I told him, I said, "I don't have any clothes on. I'm just gonna tell you." So he handed me something through the door to put on. So
That
I
was
called the
nice.
police, and they came out, and he had already fabricated a lie and told them that I was crazy, that I wasn't in my right mind, and that I just ran out of the house. They didn't believe him. So I came in, and and I told them my story, and I told them what happened. And at that time, because the house was my house, although we were we married at that time? I don't think so. We may have been. I got to read the book again. But anyway,
Mhm.
they we were married at that time, but they made him leave. They told him, because the house is mine. Even though in Texas laws, we I didn't think they was gonna make him leave, but they did. They made him leave because somebody had to go, and it wasn't gonna be me. So he left, and he stayed gone for a while. And then it was time for him to go back on the road, and so he got his clothes and he left, and he did his little route by himself and stuff, and and
Did you go
that
back
was
after
it.
that?
hmm I went back a few times. It
Mhm.
takes a woman's up to 7 times to leave. I tell people I exceeded that 7 times. I did. I kept going back. And a
Can you
lot of
describe
reasons.
why? Can you describe
Yeah,
why?
the reasons, most of the reasons that I went back, because I'm a woman of God, and learning so much now about being in a relationship and staying in it because of a marriage. And here's the thing: oppression. That is no Domestic violence is an oppression. God does not want his people to be oppressed, and domestic violence is a form of oppression. So that was one of the reasons. And then I I guess I kind of felt guilty because I allowed him to move. He didn't have nowhere to go. So, that was one of the reasons. And I didn't want to, have to start all over. It's just a whole lot of things, and a lot of fear, because he would make threats about, me leaving. And if I couldn't, literally talking about hurting my sons, about what he would do to them. My sons were grown. So at this time I'm like 48, 49 years old. And, you know, it was just a whole lot of reasons why I stayed. But I think the most one was because of being married and being fearful. I was really afraid of him, and I was afraid that he probably would have done something to my sons.
Now
Can
we
I?
have the numbers scrolling on the bottom here of things that people can do. This is just one of them. Did either one of you, and I'm going to let you answer too, Crystal, right here. Did either one of you reach out to an agency to try to get help? Because it seems like you guys are all trying to handle it yourselves, but there's
hmm
agencies out there that are in place for this type of thing. Did either of you think about that at all?
No, not at all.
I I actually thought about it, but I never did make a call. But one thing that I
What kept
did,
you back from doing that though?
I just didn't want to. To be honest with you, I really don't know. It was just like I just didn't want to. But
Yep.
I did do this. I did tell. I told. I had a good friend of mine that I confided in, and she actually gave me a key to her apartment, and just if I, if I needed to get out or whatever, then I started talking about it, and I started telling people. And I always say you have to find somebody that you can really trust. And I started, when the point where I got to the point where I was just tired. And then the same grandbaby that he wanted, that saved my life, actually saved my life. And the
Yes.
reason I walked away was for the same grandbaby that at this point he's bigger now, and it's like my grandbaby was really clinging to me, and he became jealous of the baby, so he started wanting to like be abusive toward him, and I wasn't gonna have that, and I wasn't, and I talk about this incident in the book. We're on our way to my niece's graduation down in Yazoo City, and he decided he wanted to act up with my grandbaby. And I remember telling him, I had two of my grandchildren and
What does
with
that
me.
mean? What do you mean when you say he wanted to act up with the
He
grandbaby? What
wanted
does that
to
mean?
whip him. He wanted to whip him because he was being potty trained, and we didn't go get the little pull-ups. So he peed on himself in the car. So he wanted me to get out of the car and whip him. I told him I'm not gonna spank him. And he wanted to, and I told him no, I'm not gonna let you. So we escaped that. Going, we went on down to the home to the my hometown for the graduation, and the whole time he talked about me so bad in front of my grandkids. And
Oh,
at that point, I wasn't driving anymore. He told me, just, I don't even want you to drive. So I got on the passenger side, and I looked at him. I told him, I said, you're gonna be sorry for what you just did. Well, what you mean by that? You'll see. You'll be sorry. And at that time, that's when I started making my plans to leave.
good job.
I
Let me
did.
let you answer that, Crystal. What is it that made you not reach out to these agencies at least? I know you didn't want to tell family, but what about, like, did you guys Google it and say domestic violence counselors or something like that? What made you not do that?
DCS. That was the biggest thing. I didn't want them involved, but they got involved.
So DCS needs to change. They need to regroup what they're doing. And then we're going to have to make them, because they're supposed to be there to keep the families together. That's what they stand behind. That we're not here to take your kids. We want to keep the family together. Well, we need to make them own that and do that for real. So
But
some
if you
things
do
may
it,
have
you're
to
not gonna make
change.
no money. It's all about money.
If we can't make them change, then we'll make them be exposed. Whichever comes
Yes.
first doesn't matter to me. But
now.
there has to be, because the fact that Crystal was afraid to call because she's afraid of
Mm,
this agency, that's
that's
bad.
crazy.
That's
Yes.
horrible.
It's
They're
horrible.
supposed to be able to help you in times like that.
Right. Mm.
Can real quick, may I ask you a question, Tina J?
Yes.
Seeing because of your childhood and then your young adulthood and then your adulthood, um, do you think or feel that maybe you were addicted? Because trauma can be addictive.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Addicted to
can.
trauma? Why would someone want to be addicted to
Oh, no, 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 no,
trauma?
no. Addiction is something that takes you to a level, makes you feel a certain way, and if you're not used to it, you do things to obtain that feeling because you're so used to it.
No. No. That definitely wasn't the case for me.
That's good.
No.
That's good.
Uh-uh. Mm-mm.
That's good.
I just attracted those type of men.
Understood.
That's basically it,
Understood.
because I'm not a violent person, period. And I don't, no, that wasn't it for me.
Yeah, because
So
I'm speaking for myself. I actually was addicted to trauma. I
mm-hmm,
was used to things
mm-mm,
jumping off.
mm-mm,
I was
no,
used to things jumping off at least once a month.
no, not me. No, because I didn't fight him back at all. I didn't, and I just did
Now, I
not.
want to go
I
back
was.
to something that's interesting because you brought up another point, Tina J. When you
Mm-hmm,
talked about you stayed because you made a promise to God.
mm-hmm.
You're a Christian woman. But
Yes.
why is it that we don't use those same principles when we know our worth? Because in the Bible, it tells us about who we are. We're the head, not the tail. Above, never
Yes.
again beneath. We
Yeah.
we take certain parts, but we don't take, okay, well, I'm going to stay in this marriage because God says that he doesn't like divorce. But at the same time, God also said that you're the head, not the tail. So if you
Yep.
are not being the head and not the tail, then why can't we apply God's principles to that part of it? I'm just wondering.
That's true, and that's why I say I know differently now. I
Right.
know I've learned, studying God's word and taking the classes that I'm taking about the oppression and about what you just said, being the head and not to tell. We got to understand that when we in the marriage relationship, we're not to be abused. God made everything beautiful. He
Speak,
did not make
speak.
anything to be abused.
Yes.
So therefore, I have learned that now that I'm not going to be oppressed by anybody, whether I'm in an
Speak.
abusive marriage, friendship, or whatever. That's why I talk about soul ties.
Okay, okay. So may I say something on that real quick? Um,
Yes.
I I want us as survivors and as human beings
Hmm.
to apply the word of God prior to the relationship.
There you go. There you go.
And
Absolutely.
then we won't have those other issues
That's
because
right.
I think that's what we're doing. When we find someone or see someone,
Yes.
we put the Bible and its scriptures over there
Hmm.
and we
Not
handle
Brian
our
too.
business. And then when we get there, we like, well, I'm a man of God. And so, you know, and then now we're reaching for those scriptures that we tossed aside prior to the involvement. And so it just, I honestly believe that if we're going to be people of faith,
Yes.
let's not apply it like a part-time job.
Amen. Amen to that one, Gene, because I was talking to my coworkers today. I said, y'all know I'm trying to date now, but it's a different dating thing for me now. I don't have time because when things don't feel right in my spirit or whatever, it's a no for me. And I will wait. And I'm not going to be so fast to jump into anything because one thing that I have learned through this whole experience through my journey, I have learned my worth. I know I'm worthy. God
Yes.
has somebody that out there
Yes.
that's gonna appreciate who I am and not abuse me and gonna respect me. And there's a saying, you teach people how to treat you.
That's
So
right.
if I allowed it the first time and the second time and I keep on allowing it, I can't do that anymore. So I'm
Amen.
okay being by myself. I
Woo!
am.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I love that. And I want to say, I want to interject something here um, to abusers and just people that are watching this broadcast. It is important to know who you are, but it's also
Amen.
important to know
Who's?
whose you
That's
are.
right. That is so
Very
true.
real. You have
Yes.
to. Because when you know
Yes.
whose you are, then you don't let people tell you who you are.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at
Wow.
all.
So how did yours wrap up, Tina? What happened next? Is he in jail at this point? Is he back in the house? Because you've taken him back several times, you said. And that just must have was some good stuff. I'm just saying. I didn't, I'm
So,
thinking it. We're all thinking it. So I might as well say it.
so after we did the trip down to Mississippi, he Father's Day was coming up the next month in June. So he had already had we had already made plans to bring a daughter down from Baton Rouge to Houston to spend time with him. So I said my plan was already there. So I said, okay, I'm gonna let him spend time with his daughter. Then I'm done. And that's what happened. I was done. Even in the meantime, I mean, even when she came down, she after I left and I called her and told her I was gone, she said, Miss Tina, I heard everything he said to you. I heard how he
Mm,
treated you, you
mm,
know. So I left. I talk about it in my book. I was like silly in the color purple that morning. I had a doctor's appointment early in the morning. On that Sunday, he said he was going, but then he said, well, I better go, and that's where I better be, because it didn't make no sense. I drive myself to work every morning. Why would you go to the doctor with me? So that particular morning, he was asleep. God kept him asleep. I got up. I didn't sleep that night before because that Sunday evening was very traumatic for me. I was cussed out, talked about everything. And he didn't put his hands on me because I had already had a conversation with God. I was like, okay, Lord, if he put his hands on me again, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight. I may not survive this fight, but I'm going to fight him back. Because it's, when you get to that point
Because you were
where you just
tired
don't
at this
care no
point.
more, I was tired.
You were
Like my
tired.
mama said, when you
Wow.
get tired to being sick and tired, then you're going to figure that thing out. At that point, I had figured it out. So that particular Monday morning, I went to my doctor's appointment. I called my HR department and said, okay, I'm fixing to do a new bank account, because I knew my paycheck was fixing to go into that bank account because we had a account together. So I got all that fixed up. And I went to the bank. I took $200 out and opened that bank account. But he tell everybody I took all the money out of the account, but I didn't. So I opened my bank account. I called him on the phone, told him I was done. I only took, mind you, everything in that house belonged to me, because he came with just what he had in a suitcase. Now we accumulated just a little bit of stuff together, but I left everything. I talk about the car he had brought me. He had just brought me a brand new car. And he accusing me of letting my man drive the car, you know. So what did I do? I left the keys to the car. I got the keys to the car that I had, which was in my name, left him with his car, packed just enough what I could take to go to work, my laptop and everything else. I walked away from it. I walked away.
Wow.
Called him on the phone. I ain't a cussing woman. I ain't put all them cuss words. What I did not tell him. So I called my sons. They already know what I was going through. Everybody knew by this time. And I'm done. I can't go back. So my oldest son wanted me to come with him, but I ended up going with my middle son, my daughter-in-law, my grandson, the one that the oldest one that I talk about in the book. Y'all, I walked away with what I had, and I stayed with my son and daughter-in-law for 8 months, and literally here I am. I'm in my 50s now, y'all. I'm starting over. Here I
It's
am
all right.
starting my life over.
It's all right
I
though.
cried, and
Yes.
it's just like, okay, you can do this. So I finally got out on my own. I got my own apartment, and now it's been it's been 6 years since I left him. What is he doing now? He don't exist on this earth anymore. It's in the book. You got to get the book to read. You got to get it.
It is a very
I
good book. It's a
totally
very good book.
that's why the title is Total Deliverance, a survival story. Y'all, I was so afraid of this man after he left and he moved to San Antonio. I'm still in Houston. I'm going to work, getting off of work. I'm running to my car like, oh, I got to call him. I had to call him from my desk phone. I'm leaving. Get to the car. I'm in the car. I'm on my way home. I did that for like weeks, and I had to break myself out of that habit. Uh, One time I was at work, and I remember I was fixing to go to the cafeteria. He knew where I worked. He didn't know where my son lived. He couldn't have found it but he knew where I worked. So I was afraid he was going to come to my job. So I remember going to the cafeteria, and I stopped dead in my tracks. And I just knew it was him, but it wasn't. So I'm saying this to say this. I started getting stronger and stronger. So it's been 6 years now. And I was telling a friend, everything happened in the month of June. Got to get the book and see what I'm talking about. So when June came and some things transpired, this past June, on those dates, I didn't even think about it. That's why I know I'm healed. I wasn't able to
Wow.
heal like Shalonda said last night, the forgiveness. I had to forgive him. I had to
Mhm.
forgive myself. And when I finally did that, that's when I was able to write that book. And it's just like,
Yes.
I didn't write it. God just breathed everything in me,
Yes.
the things to
Yes.
say. And as I look back, it was some things that I didn't even put in that book that could have been so powerful. But God said, this is enough. I remember when the incident, when he was moving, it was a confrontation between him and my sons. And we was trying to help him get packed up and me to get my stuff out of the house. And y'all, I knew he had a machete, and I found it. It was at the head of his side of the
Gee.
bed. And I, I don't want to cry, but y'all, he could have woke up in one of his rages and just took me on out of here. He had a bat. He didn't have a gun. He didn't, but he was a truck driver, and he did say after he stopped driving truck, which he was forced to stop because of health reasons, that things that he was gonna do, and he started doing some of those things, like drinking, smoking weed, and as I look back now, going back to San Antonio after he God called him in, I had to go back and claim his body, pack up his house because I'm still married to him, and I could see that he was doing things that he wasn't supposed to be doing because he was on dialysis, and he was just and he died alone, y'all. You got to get the book. It's just deep. And then some things that I found out after my oldest son got out of prison, he came to live with us. And after he passed away and everything, my son came and told me, my son is street, and he found out everything that what was going on. And he said, Mom, I told him, if you ever put your hands on my mama again, I would go back to prison for my mama. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't tell them at first, because my sons, they love me. And I know, and I didn't want them or my brothers. I have two brothers, and I have a lot of male figures in my life that I know would come to bat for me, and they probably would have done something and gotten themselves in prison or whatever. And I couldn't bear that. And I even have a part in my book. At one time, my middle son, he came to get me, and he looked at me and he started to cry, y'all. He said, Mama, what are we going to do when he kill you, Mama? And at that point, I had to start, y'all. I hope somebody listening to me. I don't care if your kids are small. I don't care if they're grown. They're still yours, and they're going to still love you. So I had to start making a decision because I couldn't bear the thought of my sons bearing me, of my grandkids not having a grandmother, So domestic violence, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. And I tell people now, when you see these tears, it's not about what he did to me, it's what God did for me, because he delivered me from
Yes.
it. To be a voice, to
Yes.
be an advocate, to
Yes.
talk about it, to tell somebody my story, that he did it. And however he's going to deliver you, you got to just trust him. You just got to find a way out. You got to find a way to escape. I talk about, when I'm speaking, I actually packed the bag and hid it in the closet. But I unpacked the bag because I was so afraid that he was going to find it. I knew what to do. So I started making my plans to escape. And I tell you, you got to do it safely. And way I did it, as I look back at it now, I didn't do it in a safe manner. I went to my son's house. I put their lives in jeopardy. Go to a shelter. There are resources out there. You got to find a safe way out. Because here's the thing, once a woman leaves, that is the time, the most vulnerable time that they will lose their life, because he's lost his control. He got to get it back. Got to get it back.
Wow. Because you can't go to places where he knows that you'll
Yeah, he'll
be.
find you.
He'll find you.
And if he don't, if he
I've
can't get you, he'll get the family. We see it on the
yes.
news all the time. He will take a family out because he can't get to you.
Yeah.
Don't put your family in harm's way like that. Find you a
Wow.
safe way to go. Find somebody you can talk to. Call the National Domestic Violence Line. There are people all over. They're trained. They're gonna tell you where the resources. They're gonna help you.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to tell somebody.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Crystal, oh, she's gotten up. I was going to ask Crystal a question. Now, Jean, tell me, when she talks about that machete, what do you think? Because when you talked about the machete, I didn't see a good thing. I didn't see a good vision there.
Mm-mm.
God spoke to you and got you out in time, and I'm
Did.
so glad you listened.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you. This man had a machete, Gene.
he did.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did.
It's it's really unfortunate. I'm I'm speechless, but it's really unfortunate, and it's horrible. But unfortunately, when someone is thinking along those lines,
Yeah,
um, they've already come to a conclusion.
yeah,
Otherwise, you buy a gun because you know if you have to use it one day, you're gonna use it.
yeah.
You get a machete because
Uh-huh.
you are ready to use it. Now, if you
Yeah,
got it by your bed, you're sleeping with it. He intends to use it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
it's really unfortunate for Tina J. But the beauty of God is He keeps on keeping on. He keeps
he
on talking.
does.
He keeps on trying to get us to listen. The Bible says that the voice of wisdom cries out in the street. He's
Yes,
constantly trying to get us to listen. That's the
absolutely.
biggest problem with mankind. He don't want to
Yes,
listen. He
don't
don't
want to
want to listen.
listen.
And it's unfortunate, but I would two questions. The number that's going on the screen, is that for men and women or just for women?
That's just the National Domestic Hotline for
I believe
anybody.
it's for men too because they're opening more up because they know men abuse as well. So I believe it is, but that's something I've definitely got to look into. But I really do believe it is because I've gone to the website and they talk about the statistics for the men as well. So I wouldn't think that they would advise
Okay.
them as well.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: there are not really shelters out there for men. But I do
Exactly.
know of some
I'm
shelter.
working on it. I'm working
Good,
on it.
I
good,
love
good,
it.
good.
Y'all be praying for me because I'm working
Yes,
on it right
good,
now
good.
as we speak. Because
That's good.
I too am tired. I'm
Yeah,
tired. I've
yes,
had men call me and ask me what should they do. I've had men. Uh, I've had men that's. Oh my goodness. And
yes,
there's nothing I can do. you
yeah,
know and I hate that. I hate the
yeah,
fact you give and you give and you give and it's still not enough. We need shelters and places for men and numbers
yes.
for men to be able to call, and so I am working on that. I
Good.
really,
That's awesome.
but yes,
That's good.
listen, your story, yours and Crystal's story is probably the most, that is very amazing. It's very sad,
Yeah.
um, but it's very, the triumphant part of it is even greater. And
Yeah.
I thank God for your lives. I thank God for your courage. I
Amen.
thank God for your
Thank
beauty.
you.
I thank God for your love. I thank God for your endurance. I'm
Thank
telling you. And because of y'all, some children won't have to go through what you've gone through
That's
because
right.
of your
Amen.
endurance.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
thank
Now,
God for
Crystal,
that. Yeah.
Yes,
Crystal,
ma'am.
what are you thinking right now? What are you thinking about? I want you to just think about all that you went through, and I want you to look in that camera, and I want you to speak to the women that are afraid of DCS. I want you to speak to the women that are afraid in any capacity. I want you to, because of your experience, I want you to speak to those women right now.
The biggest thing to do is pray about it and let the Holy Spirit lead you. They let you know what you need to do, how you need to do it, and who you need to do it with, and when to do it.
Yeah.
But do get out.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to go. Got
But you
to
got
go.
to have a plan. But you got to be
Gotta have a
strategic
plan.
about it. That's what I mean. If you have to Google it, whatever, but
Yeah.
just start thinking and Google it, because they have different. I've seen them on the web, on the internet, where they have like different escape plans, if you will. That's what
Hmm.
they call them, escape plans. You got to have one, and you have to be careful about who you trust too,
That's
Yes.
true.
because they'll tell on you. Because all that guy may have to come and say, "Look, man, I'll give you this. I need to know where she is." I had one
Yep.
guest on here, and she was gonna be on here this week, but she's getting so busy now because she's in the news a lot and doing a lot of things promoting domestic violence awareness. But her daughter went through a lot of the same stuff you guys went through. She was 20 years old, Tina and Crystal, and she was going through it. And her mom was just so sad trying to get her daughter out, and she wouldn't listen. Finally, the one time her daughter finally said, "I'm done," she went to the cops. And guess what? He was able to get out on one of those, what is it called? It's some kind of PR code or something. I don't know what they call it. I can't think of it right now, where he got out on good behavior or something. And when they let him out, he went back to that apartment. She was there. And she couldn't leave the apartment because there was like a parole, something where she couldn't leave. You have to stay at that address. He walked in that apartment, took a knife, and stabbed her 20 times in her stomach because he didn't want another man to raise his child.
Jesus.
20 years old. Life gone.
Yeah.
Because of the system.
Because of the system. I know.
So we have to fix this.
Yeah.
The system isn't. The system is the reason it keeps going. So it's like I'm learning so much listening to you guys because you guys are giving us we're gonna collaborate, and they're having a domestic violence awareness coming up. One of my guests was on here, and different people I'm starting to see these domestic violence rallies and conferences, spiking up across the country because it's such a problem. And I don't know if you guys know this, but it's even more of a problem now during the pandemic because people are home.
Yes.
They're like, you know what? I don't like you. I mean, it's like now that I'm around you more, I'm starting to see your faults, and everything you do annoys me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I tell you one thing, this definitely makes me want to stay away from relationships. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Ella, just to add about the pandemic, I always, when I'm speaking, and I allude my situation, although we were not in a pandemic, I was with him 24 hours, 7 days a week. So I understand how it is to be with somebody. I actually felt like I was a bird in a cage. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. Couldn't even talk on the phone. I had to get off of Facebook. I couldn't do anything. So I understand being in COVID that you don't have anywhere to go, but I'm telling you, there's somewhere to go. There's still somewhere to go because although, the shelters are kind of limited, but they still have resources out there to help you get out.
Yeah. She said inbox her if she doesn't see this, Tina J. Lewis. I don't know.
Well, I think about my book. They wanted to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely reach out. Because I want you guys to
me on Facebook.
Yeah, I want you guys to definitely have that information on Friday on our last night so that people could get the book. I got the book and I'm loving it. It is very, very good read. It's a easy read, and I am just following it, and I'm just sitting there. And we're gonna bring more guests this week, guys. It's just, how many of you are full right now? Like I am just like, oh, this tea ain't hitting on nothing. I need to get me a glass of wine. I'm just saying. Just take it on out, Gene. I mean, really. I mean, Jesus drank wine, so we still keep it.
Oh no.
Listen, when Jesus was at that wedding, and he could have, when they were still thirsty, he could have just said, "Go down to the street, go get a case of water."
Yeah, get some Kool-Aid.
He could have said, "Get some Kool-Aid, Gatorade," but he turned water to wine.
Some life water. What
do you think Jesus was saying? Jesus is my kind of guy, because he was saying we can still drink and be merry. He just doesn't like us to get drunk, right?
Say don't indulge in it. Don't do too much of it. Not too much wine.
But you got these people that'll tell you, listen, if Jesus rolled with wine, I'm rolling with Jesus, then I'm rolling with wine too. That's just how I see it.
Guilty by association, right?
What? If Jesus is rolling with wine and I roll with Jesus, then I'm rolling with wine too. I don't pick and choose, right?
I ain't mad at you.
I'm just saying.
Hey,
you know, but it's good for us to have fun and all and everything, guys. And it's
Yes.
good to see you laugh, Tina and Crystal, with everything
Yes.
you guys went through. Listen, I'm sitting here listening to you both tell your stories, and I'm just like, wow, I just love these ladies. I know this is like our first time seeing face to face when we came on
Yes.
into the studio tonight. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're family. And every
Yes.
domestic violence person, I still keep in touch with all of show, because we're family now and we have to help each other out. We are
Yes.
all in this together. I love to say that
Yes.
because we really
Absolutely.
are. And bringing you guys on the show, this is all about hoping someone out there
Yeah.
listens to this broadcast and you're changed,
Right.
in some capacity. You're changed. Either you're changing your mind or you're changing the way you live, whatever the case may be. Just change, do something, make a move. But I don't know, Gene. I don't know if I'm gonna tell everybody to. Well, you know what? If he say something to you, hit him in the nose. I'm not, because you might miss. I'm telling you. I know one time I tried to kick a guy in the groin. I tried,
You
and the
missed
fact that I missed, I think that made him more mad.
bad.
I just didn't aim right. I don't know. My aim was off because you only got one time, Gene. You only got one time, and when I didn't get it, he went way off. And he was like, "Oh,
I
you should have."
bet.
Because at least if I had gotten it, I would have bought myself some time, right?
Yep. To get away.
But to get away, but I
I don't know.
missed.
I don't know. Some of these guys are made of steel. I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. I will say this. I, I would like to refer to these guys and these ladies as abusers
Yeah.
because there is a pattern that they both walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noticing that it's not just women, it's not just men.
That's true.
It's a pattern. And
It
it's,
is.
it's almost like a spirit. It's a spirit that they indulge in, that they're choosing to indulge in. And it's really sad. It's unfortunately, it's really, really sad. But
Yes.
but nonetheless, I don't want to take up any time, but I do want to say, ladies, you two ladies are phenomenal ladies. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
So much.
I think y'all are amazing. I think you're beautiful,
Thank you.
and this does not define
Mm-mm.
you.
Mm-mm.
Your beauty will surpass, and I'm sure you already know. You already know. And it's, as far as being 50 and starting over, hey, look here. Your boy started over at 50.
That's
Yes,
what
I
I'm
did.
talking about.
Yeah,
This is where it starts, man.
yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
Oh my,
living my
hey,
blessed life, y'all.
hey. And it has been the best thing ever, ever.
Yeah.
I cannot, my own children will tell you they've never seen me laugh and smile as much as I do.
Aw.
That's
My
good.
own children will tell you that. So please don't be afraid to start over. And I think
Oh, I'm
I
not.
think that's a huge thing with domestic violence and being married. Most
Yes.
people, men don't want to start all over. Most women don't want
Mm-hmm.
to start all over. But I assure you, if your car is laying in the garage in the driveway and it's broke, and if you remove it, the chance of you getting a new car are much better
Yep.
than that raggedy one there. Go ahead and
Like
start
that.
over. Go ahead and start over. So
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get out of here. I was trying to see my schedule for tomorrow. Um, Looks like Phil is gonna be joining us. I know he's on the broadcast tonight, supporting you ladies and supporting the show all week. Thank you, Phil. He's gonna be on tomorrow, and Shavana Wilmington is gonna be on tomorrow. And we have some more people because listen, guys, we're adding to the list every day. I mean, honestly, people want to come on the broadcast and tell their story, and I'm like, listen, we'll make room. You know how we
Good.
do it. Y'all know when y'all go to grandmama's house and she doesn't have a bed for all of y'all and she got to make
Yes.
a pallet in the floor. Come on now. Y'all know about them pallets in the
You know
floor,
it.
Yeah.
right? That's what the Ella Johnson show does. It makes a pallet so we can all get some of this, right? So, but anyway, guys, I jotted something down because I was listening to, I like to listen to my gospel before I start the broadcast, just to kind of, and I was listening to Juanita Bynum. She said, "If you don't know my pain, you'll never understand my praise.
That's
If it
right.
had not been for the Lord on my side, where would I be?"
Would I be?
Ladies, God was in it.
Yes.
It may not have felt like
Amen.
it, but you're
Well,
here because he was in it.
because he was in it.
He was in it, and he moved some things out of the way. He moved some people. He kept him sleep longer,
Yes.
And see, with Crystal over here, she just needed a couple times. She was like, "Oh no, I'm good. I'm out." She's like, "Yeah, okay,
Uh,
okay." She's quiet, but she's powerful,
yes,
Yeah.
he is.
And so with you, Tina, you're a lot like me. We're from the Missouri state. You got to show me.
Show
We
me
got to see it a few times. I
a long
listen,
time.
I was following you because I'm like that too. That's why I have
Yes.
6 kids. After about 1 or 2, I should have figured it out.
I
Ella,
know.
if you don't protect yourself,
So,
you're going to
there
get
you go.
pregnant, right?
That's so true.
After about 6 kids, I figured it out, but hey,
Yeah.
listen, we are just those kind of people. But you know what?
Okay.
Everybody has a part in the kingdom.
That's
We all
right.
play a
Amen.
different role. Some people are going to be the ones that were just prim and proper and they just know what to do and they're going to do it. They can
Hmm.
speak for God too. But then you need those
Yes.
knuckleheads that have to go through stuff because He said their poor would be with you always. He meant to say the knuckleheads would be with you always. Okay? Because he needed somebody that can win who was a knucklehead to help other knuckleheads.
That's so
I
true.
fell into the knucklehead category. Me and you, Tina, we fell into
Yeah.
But you know what? Your story is powerful, both of you,
Thank you.
because you speak to a lot of people that are watching this broadcast. And even Gene over there, I see he took off that Oklahoma hat. You see? He feels good. I'm like, dude, if you're going to come on this show with an Oklahoma, at least get one that say Alabama.
And put
Oklahoma.
it
Do
back
you
on.
know anybody in Oklahoma?
I do.
I know you do. Tell us about your family member that went pro from Oklahoma.
Oh, my son. My son actually graduated from OU, and he went to play with the Kansas City Chiefs for a little bit, then on to San Francisco and the San Diego Chargers. He is now in the CFL over in Canada.
Nice.
Awesome. That is
See?
awesome.
That is awesome. Do you guys want to say anything before we get out of here? Crystal, tell us about your book. Oh, this is what I do have. While you're talking about your book, I actually have it, and we're going to show your book on here, and then we're going to get out of here. There's Crystal's book, Poems from the Heart of a Christian Woman. And remember, she said when she was telling her story that she would just kind of get away and write. So a
Yeah.
lot of people put their pain in their poetry, and she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. That's awesome. And where can we find your book, Crystal?
It's on Amazon.
All right. So go to Amazon.com. Just type in the name, Poems from
Yes.
the Heart of a Christian Woman. I want you guys watching this broadcast support all of my guests. Buy their stuff. And when you're done buying their stuff, buy my stuff too. I'm just saying. Mine is not out for sale yet. Mine is
I
not out
started
for
a
sale.
book about my situation with him called Through the Soul of a Survivor. It's with the publisher right now. Getting
Nice.
worked on. And yeah, so I talk about everything from the beginning all the way up to right now.
Well, definitely. I want you to come back to the show and talk about that. What made you start writing, Crystal?
As my own therapy. The biggest thing, trying to release it, and then that's when I got stuck. Trying to
Writer's block.
convince myself. Yeah, to convince myself to write it out, and like I need help.
Well, I want to encourage people that are writing, because I've written four books that are part of the Torn series, and all those books are well over 500 pages. So I'm just saying, I write a lot, but I talk a lot too, and I went through a lot. But one of the things I want to give some advice: when you're writing, journal as you're going through it. Because what I used to do is I would journal as I'm going through it, and then when I'm sitting in front of the computer to write, I would take a risk, and I would get a glass of wine and listen to my gospel, and I would relive it. I would relive it. I would be sitting there crying with a computer in front of me, crying and feeling that pain all over again. And then I would start typing, because I wanted those emotions to come through my reader, so they felt what I felt. So that's just some advice there, 2 cents. And here is Tina's book. Oops.
Nice.
Total Deliverance, a survivor's story. And you can find her book on Amazon as well. Just type the title of it in, and it'll take you right to it. But I'm proud of you, ladies.
Ella, that's just the ebook. I do have hard copies. You can just inbox me at Tina J. Lewis on Facebook, and I can get it out to you signed and everything.
Well, I wanted to read it right away, so I got my Kindle.
She
I was just like, it was. I mean, I'm a fast reader, so I'm like, I got it like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to, but it's very good. Good job, Tina. I'm gonna get yours too, Crystal. I want to support everybody that comes on the Ella Johnson Show, because this is how we got to do it. But guys, listen, we're gonna get out of here. It's been a lovely evening. Let me see. Let me do this, because I want to be fair to all my viewers. I want to see what comments we have. I know that's right. Awesome. Right. Thank you guys for commenting and stuff, because this is good. But y'all giving me too many jobs to do. I got to talk, look over here, and put these comments up. Make sure my wig is down over the wig cap. Listen. See, I'm very transparent too. What you see is what you get. Check this out.
Go.
Did you see earlier when I leaned up? But you notice I leaned way back again.
The wig was moving.
What? These things shift. You don't have it in there just right. They shift.
You right.
I saw that wig cap. I was baby. Let me sit on back. Let me blend in with New York back here on my wall. Right? Because somebody will see it, and somebody will call me, and they'll say, Ella, girl, why you didn't push that wig down on your head? I got those kind of friends. And you know me, I don't care. I'm like, girl, I tried to spray that stuff to make it stick. But it doesn't really work. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to see you guys laugh, especially you, Kristen. But we're going to get out of here, guys. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast tonight. But we'll be right back tomorrow night with some more guests. And I think we have more than 2 tomorrow night, because everybody wanted Wednesday and Thursday slots for some reason. So, but we'll be back with more. Anybody else have anything to say before we get out of here? All mind satisfied?
Yep.
All right. Good deal. We'll see you right here tomorrow night, 8:00 Eastern on the Ella Johnson Show for more true stories of survival. Thanks for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show.